Hi, my name is Genevieve Stafford Jack, and in today's video, we're really just going to zoom in a little on how to analyze a property investing opportunity. You know, I was that rookie investor that made an epic mistake when I got into property investing. When I got into property investing, for me, it was just a matter of having read some information here and there, having this dream of actually owning property and getting stuck into it. And there's a couple of mistakes that I made that I really would like to highlight and share with you. So when I eventually got the property education, I then started realizing, hey, I'm not the only one in this boat. I'm not the only one that missed how to analyze a property investing opportunity. So I trust that today's video is really going to help you along the way in this very quick method on the questions that I pose to you and quick numbers that we will go through. So without much ado, I recall when I bought my first 2-bed, 1-bath. In my mind, I thought, okay, as long as I get in rent that will cover my bond, I should be sharp. Well, it's not so easy because many of us focus on what is my rental income. So I want to take a very quick example today. So what if my rental income for my 2-bed, 1-bath that is on market value, and say for example that this particular 2-bed, 1-bath I bought for 500,000 rand, and in the area it is going for, the rental income is going for 5,000. So what if my rental income is 5,000 rand? Many times, and I wonder if you the same, many times what we look at is, if I rent out my property, can it cover my bond, as I shared with you, right? Which is my financing costs. Why would I call it financing costs? You see, in the world of property investing, you don't only get a bond to get a property, right? You can go with private equity and all sorts of ways to actually finance a property. Hence, I call it financing costs. Well, that is the terminology that is often used in the industry of investing. So I go with my 2-bed, 1-bath that costs me 500,000 to buy, and I go and I want to rent this out for 5,000 because in the area it's going for 5,000. But what if I put a deposit down in my 500,000 flat, my 2-bed, 1-bath, and I am now paying as a bond repayment 4,500 rand. So here I am, happy as ever, paying 4,500 rand because I put a deposit down for my particular property, which then leaves me with, if I am collecting 5,000 rent and I am paying of that 5,000, I'm paying 4,500 through to the bank or wherever or whomever financed my particular property, I'm now left with 500 rand. Oh, my 5 is looking a little bit shoddy there. I'm left with 500 rand. And I know way back in the day, it is so exciting. Oh my gosh, I've got 500 rand. I've made 500 rand. But what we often neglect, this may be your gross cash flow. What we often forget, what happens with our monthly costs? Yes, our monthly costs. What if in my 2-bed, 1-bath, it is a sectional title, which means it's a flat or in a complex, right? And it's not just a standalone freehold house. It is, I then need to pay something what we call, I really hated paying this one, hey? What if I have to pay something called levies? Like, oh, darn it. Levies can be a monster depending on where you are. And I paid levies where I stayed, right? Because it was a 2-bed, 1-bath, and it was in a block of flats on the 6th floor. And I paid levies. And I want to share something very funny about levies, because today's video is we're really just analyzing on how do we get to knowing that this property investing opportunity is actually an opportunity. We are focusing on how to analyze a property investment opportunity. Many times you'll see an advert. The advert says the levies are 600 to 700 rand. But then when we get the levies account, there is something called sea sauce and all sorts of stuff in between. And then you eventually find out the carport that comes with the flat is something that you're actually paying for as well. And you're potentially paying like 25 Rand towards your little parking spot. And then when you eventually look at what the grand total of the levies are, it's not the 500 or 600 Rand that is often advertised. And then you say, oh, dang, it probably is sitting at something like 1,200 Rand, okay? So in our example, we'll say 1,200 Rand and everything that concerns a levies account. Sometimes the electricity is in the levies bill, right? And we don't even see that line item. And then they will say to you, oh, you know, generally in the month, on a month to month, the electricity actually comes up to, let's write electricity over here. And we'll say, oh, generally the electricity comes up to 500-600 Rand yana. And then you look at that same levies account and you start thinking to yourself, oh my days, right? Because it's a line item in there and that often shoots up that number. But what if it's a standalone bill that comes to you, right? And in that standalone bill, your particular electricity in December, when everybody is away and you've gone on a 2-week holiday, was the best time that they've just advertised that it's about, you know, the number that they've given you, but not the worst case scenario of actually what happens on a month-to-month basis. What if, just for this example, your electricity is 700 Rand? Now, I want to ask you a very quick question. What other monthly expenses do you pay where you are? Because those are the things that we now need to think about when we are analyzing to find out, is this in fact a viable property investment opportunity? Is this something that's going to work for me? What other little khokhos do you find in between, right? Now, I want you to fill in that part of the blank, but I also want to throw in some stuff that I only learned when I went through property education. I learned there is things like maintenance, which is obvious to many, right? That you need to put away for. If you have got a property management company managing your property for you, there's a percentage that needs to go for property management, okay? And then the smartest one that I learned over time is, some will call it void, some will call it vacancy, okay? But there's a percentage that you calculate on the side for just in case your tenant shows you flames and doesn't pay you that particular month, or they leave very like in the middle of the night, that happens, or you're now left with a month that you didn't actually foresee that you're going to pay somebody else's bill, right? Which is unfortunately your property. Now, these three here come with percentages. And in property education, I learned that in terms of maintenance, on a monthly basis, when money comes to you, you want to keep about a 5% of the rental income that comes to you. Most property management companies, they range anything between 9 and potentially 12%. So you want your 9 to 12% of your rental income saved. And void or vacancy, as others would call it, you also want to put a percentage of there, right? And some rule of thumb goes for 5%, some say 10%. So for this particular example, let's go on 10%, right? Now, what happens in this situation? If you look at where you are, 5% of 5,000 Rand, 9%, or let's take it for ease of maths, 10% of that particular 5,000 Rand, and what about 10% of that particular 5,000 Rand? What does that give you right now? Now, when everything is said and done, Just these three factors that I learned in property investing, education, just threw me out of the park. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, for my bond, I've just paid 4,500 Rand. I've got this ghost 500 Rand as cash flow. Now, from my pocket, I must take out 3,150 minus 500 Rand. So I'm literally sitting in a deficit every month of almost 3,000 Rand. And this is why I say this is a rookie mistake many aspiring as well as very young property investors make. Those of us that have looked at the world and thought, you know what, I'm gonna start this chapter differently. And then we get ourselves into some dwang like this. I know, I was there. I did this. And you know what? What was even more crazy, I put the best of the best in my flat. The best of my best. May not be of your best, but my best. I had a feature wall in the kitchen, nice oak cupboards, a fitted kitchen set. I had a eye-level oven, all the nice things I grew up wanting to have. I put into this particular flat of mine because I stayed there as well at a stage. And at one stage I said, okay, cool, now it's time to rent. But when it was time to rent, I was that person that supplemented. And I was told for a very long time, it's okay to supplement this money. You know why? Because over the years, the rental income is going to keep going higher, right? Which then means your bond cost or your financing cost is going to always be taken care of. And this money is going to grow. And over about 5 to 7 years, this is going to be a bigger number, which then means it will cover that. In my world, it sounded logical. Why? Because it was temporary pain for long-lasting money. And that's what I was taught on the other side of property investing. And I wonder where you are today. So I want to find out from you, where are you today in the analyzing of your property, your potential rental property? Where are you? Are you that person making this sort of mistake? Because it doesn't end here. My question is, in property investing, we talk about your return on investment. How much money did you make on your money? Which is a cash and cash, right? Because there's all these funny terminologies. I just want to call it a spade a spade. All you want to know is your money that you put into buying this 2-bed, 1-bath or whatever property it is, right? Is your money giving you the best return? And here's something to consider. I want you to take a pen and paper out. I want to ask you, in this hypothetical situation where we put some deposit down and that's why we're only paying 4,500 for the financing costs, did you pay a deposit for where you are? If this is your rental opportunity or your property investing opportunity, did you pay a deposit? In terms of when you bought the property, what was your closing costs? You may be asking me, closing costs? What do you mean? Yes, there's a sneaky little thing called closing costs. And here's what it comprises of. You go to the bank, you ask the bank to borrow you money, right? Hypothetically, they give you the 100% loan, right? You decide you're going to put a deposit onto that money. Now, the bond needs to be registered. So there's bond fees. The title deeds needs to be transferred from the seller's name to you, who's the buyer, which then means there's transfer fees. So at the end of the day, when you are closing off on buying your 2-bed, 1-bath, what costs are involved? Those are your closing costs. Your deposit that you may have opted to pay is part of your closing costs. And here's a third closing cost that many people just say, oh, I'll see how that goes, and they don't budget for it up front. Which is the third question, did you renovate? Because if you renovated or you did some sort of fixing up in your property, it's all part of your closing costs. So my question to you, the money that you are going to invest in this particular property investing opportunity, firstly, is it doing what it needs to do for the monthly expenses? Is your monthly expenses covered? And if your monthly expenses are covered, happy are you, right? But is the money that you're actually putting into this particular property making you the money that you want to make? It's a lot of sobering questions that I've just asked you, right? And I want you to go and write them down and start getting real with the numbers that are in front of you, as to say, what sense is this making to me? What actually is happening here in this world of property investing? Because it's all good and well to say, if I go and buy that 2-bed, 1-bath, and I need to renovate it to fix it up and to rent it out, it's going to practically pay for itself. Have you considered all the other things in between? Or are you making that rookie mistake by not analyzing what may be in front of you? So I want to close up this particular video, and I will be making more videos about honing in and really zoning in on analyzing your deal, analyzing your property investing opportunity, so that you know where you are. So I trust that has been informative for you. And if there's any questions that you may have, please feel to drop them in the comments below. Feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I promise to get back to you as soon as I see your question. And if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button and then click on the notification bell so that you can get notifications each time I post. I just wanted to share with you, as we are coming towards the end of July, I will be running a 30-day challenge in August, where I will be posting a video a day, answering a question a day of everyone that either drops the comments below or inboxes me, or anyone from my Property Investing and Mindset Facebook group has delivered to me, as well as coaching students that I've had before. So I've collated quite a few questions, and if property investing tickles your fancy, I want to say stay tuned for August, where I drop a video daily sharing with you tidbits. The videos are going to be short and to the point, but I'll be sharing with you tidbits on what many aspiring and rookie investors ask. Take good care.